It's Katherine Skaggs, and I'm here on December 15th, the day after the new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius alignment, to bring you some more guidance from the Mythical Goddess Tarot and the wisdom of the Divine Feminine. I've been meditating this morning on what to connect to, how to support you, asking what to ask the goddesses. I did a 15 card spread yesterday, and then when I read the astrology, I realized that 15 card reading aligned exactly with the astrology of the times and what we need to be doing. So you might want to go out and check that out if you haven't already. I'm guided to do another 15 card spread this morning, which I usually just do a 1, 2, or 3 card spread and just the 15 once a week. But the guidance I get is that we need support in how we can really dream big. How do we get beyond our limitations, our differences, our divisiveness, our losses, and all the things that have been challenging in 2020. And yet 2020 is a symbol of releasing things that probably haven't been going that great for a while. It's been a culmination of like coming into the toilet. And that we are here to let go. We are here to redesign ourselves, to plant our seeds, and to focus on the light. That comes up over and over again. You know, a great metaphysical and spiritual teaching that I've tried to live with and live by for years is that whatever you focus on expands. Wherever you put your attention, wherever you put your focus, it expands. And that's what's going to create your reality. And for the last years, we've very obviously been divided as a nation. We've been in conflict and in war with one another and with our own ideals and with our belief systems. And it's time to let that die. It's time to let that go. I don't have to look at the deck to know that that ticket is up. It's up for us to decide spiritually, where do we want to go with our physical lives? Where do we want to go with our hearts? Where do we want to go with our mental activity? And do we really want to look at living a life in harmony? The only way to get there is to choose more light, to choose more love, to ask for help when we need to let go of anger or fear. That we need to do this individually, and we need to learn to do this collectively. That if we focus on the goal of harmony, we're going to be less likely to moan and complain about what's wrong with us. It doesn't mean that you can't speak your truth for what is necessary to make change. However, there can become this neutrality and resolve as you heal within yourself to know how to work with others, to create healing for everyone, and to bring greater light. So I'm doing this reading with inspiration to take advantage of this solar eclipse energy and this new moon energy. It's time to plant our seeds. If you have not, today's a great day. We're still in the orb of that energy, and we're coming into a galactic alignment and activation tomorrow, or 2 days from now. So the energies are very potent right now to bring in more light, to bring in more energy to shift, and to help us move out of old stuck ways of being. So that's the good news. So I'm going to ask the goddesses again, what do we need to know to release and to let go so that we can truly dream big, come into this Aquarian age in a manner that's aligned with a more harmonious way of being, that helps us bring health and well-being and cooperation. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, or someone from the planet Mars. We need to learn to cooperate and do what's in the best good for all of humanity. And I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but we need support. We need to figure out how to do this. All right, so who are we as we come into taking advantage of this full moon solar eclipse and galactic activation? And I get some powerful cards, some goddesses who are starting to show up who have not been showing up until just in the last 24 hours. I've read quite a few readings over the last 6 months, and I haven't seen them very many times, and Lakshmi is one of them. She sits right in the center and she tells me that the Wheel of Fortune is here now. Lakshmi is a Hindu goddess of bringing heaven to earth. She's very well known for bringing these gifts from heaven to earth. And with her sitting right in the center here, she tells me that within our own divinity, our spiritual selves, that we're grounding those into our earthly selves right now so that we can access and connect to this beauty of heaven on earth, that it lives within us, and that right now it's time for us to connect to that and to focus on that. And that's part of our foundation for bringing in the energy into a greater abundance to support the bigger heart seeds of abundance for all. That this is a good time to go get a lottery ticket, that she represents the lottery ticket that lives within us. Great value, great abundance, spiritual abundance that is very palpable and able to be translated into emotional abundance, mental abundance, and physical abundance in everywhere in your life. But first of all, you need to acknowledge that you have this within you so that you can connect with that through your intention and begin to bring that into your thoughts and the way you feel so that you can acknowledge it in your physical lives. Then we have Crow Woman, Sacred Law. She is the Justice card in the deck. She is about balance between your spiritual self and your physical life. She tells me that it's time for our karma to come due. And it's been happening. All the divisiveness, all the really the dark side of our government, the dark side of people's personalities that are out for themselves and not for one another, that's up. It's being rooted out right now, as ugly as it's been. And she's here to say that what is ours spiritually, what is ours to come into our destiny, no man can take away from us. No person can take that from us. That within us is this great mystery. And we have karmic brownies as well as lessons. And that it's time for us to access the mystery and to truly trust that what we need is given to us from the divine, and that it's time for it to come all the way into the physical, to bring greater spiritual justice on earth. It will attend to all these things that have been out of order. If you will be in integrity with yourself and with higher spiritual law, if you will understand what that is and do your best to live in these higher spiritual values, that will be reflected in all of your life. And that's the lesson for humanity right now. It truly is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you can live by that golden rule, it will influence every part of your life to bring blessings for yourself, but also to bless every single soul on this planet. We're all interconnected. So Crow Woman is telling me that things are changing. Everything is coming to fruition that is part of this new movement into a more golden time, into greater harmony. We're in the process. So it's time to claim this and connect with that balance within yourself to know that you're aligned with spiritual truth and law, and to see that reflected in your life as you act it out through your behavior, through how you feel, and through how you dream, because this is about dreaming big. It's, we need to really hang on to this greater hope within ourselves that everything is in order spiritually as each of us takes action on that personally. All right, the Crone of Transmutation. All three of these cards tell me that we're coming through the fire now, that perhaps we've come through the fire more than what we think, that there is a shift taking place, that astrologically, anywhere you will read, I will guarantee you it talks about a great shift right now. That this is also a symbol of this solar activation or this galactic activation that's taking place. Literally, there is an alignment with Sagittarius with our galactic center within a few degrees, and it has to do with Sagittarius and the solar eclipse aligning with the galactic center. And it is a symbol of solar, I keep saying solar, it is a symbol of a galactic activation where there's greater light available for you to awaken in your consciousness. And she is a symbol of that to me. She is the Crone of Fire. She is transmutation. And to me, she is a symbol that light within us is coming all the way through into our worlds. And this is the foundation from which we launch to dream big, and to be part of a whole new reality. So I think that's a pretty good start. I'm glad they told me to pull 15 cards because I love taking a look at what wants to come up for us to see. All right. So in the big picture, I didn't really put a timeline on this, and sometimes that helps define this. And what I was thinking, though, as I asked the question was, this is movement into the new year. So it's definitely the next 28 days. But I think it's this next 6-month cycle that is in alignment with the solar eclipse. A solar eclipse happens every 6 months and is a big influence for at least a 6-month cycle. And some of these are going to be about a bigger cycle than that. This particular solar eclipse is about finding the happiness that is already here. And that's part of us dreaming big, which is the message I got today. So in the big picture that we are working on to dream big is to take back our power and connect to our source, to our divinity, to our Godhead. So Morgan Le Fay is this goddess who is called the sorceress. And she was in our reading the other day. She is the traditional magician in the Tarot deck. So she's a symbol of magic. She's a symbol of like total sorcery in a very positive manner where she can call upon the elementals and the power of the light to transform the circumstances all around in a very magical way. So she tells us in this big picture, each of us need to connect to the magic within ourselves and the magic of connecting to the higher divine frequencies of possibility, connect to divine law, to know that as we align and live that within ourselves, we become very magical at living our lives in harmony, at being happy, and being abundant, being in a manner that the whole world is blessed through the magic. So she tells us it's time to step up. It's time to come to this within ourselves. Another card that has shown up multiple times recently is this Earth manipulation card. Now, with that being in the overview, it doesn't mean we're here to manipulate and be manipulated. To me, as I read this energy, and it's about a bigger picture, it's to look at all the ways that you have been a puppet in your life, whether it be because of your family, or because you work, or because of relationships, or because you manipulate yourself, because of what you think you should do. It's time to cut the cords to all these false beliefs, to the false gods, to the places where you are stuck and you are a slave to your life, to what you think you should do. And it's time for you, as you cut those cords, to connect to spirit so that you know that you're living your life in accordance with freedom to be on earth and to be in pleasure, to be free of rules and regulations that make you stuck or less than or limited. That it's time to look at every part of your life, every closet, open it up, take a look at it, and notice if it's harmonious. Are you getting more life, more joy? Because if you're not, it's time to make some change. That as we move forward, we must cut the cords to old patterns, old belief systems that make us slaves in our society, that make us slaves to our jobs, that take the joy out of life. That we need to have greater substance in our spiritual selves, harmonious in our physical lives, where we are free and flowing and flexible and not tied down to an old way of being. So that's a big deal. And that's what humanity is struggling with. That's what our country's been struggling with, is how to break away the old so that we can come into a new way of being. All right, sorry, my computer just went flash. All right, so patience is a mental suit card that is also up. And she's in the overview. So she tells me that everything that we're hoping and dreaming for is coming to fruition. And that this is also a card of balance. It has the influence of Libra. And if you look at her, she's like 9.5 months pregnant. And she's very at peace. She's patient. She's turned inward like in meditation. And it's like all these stars and heavenly energies are raining upon her. And her name is Patience. And she's all about trusting the timing of everything coming into form. that there is a divine timing and that we've worked hard. And this, everything I know about this astrology is that there is a completion taking place of working really hard. So we need to admit and acknowledge all the hard work we've done, and then to go into faith and trust that it's giving birth, that this cycle of new life is coming, and that we're right on the precipice of it. So this tells me to have faith and to trust that everything is shifting upwards into a new reality, and that we're part of that reality as we dream our true heart's desires. So the next three cards have to do with our challenges. What do we need to know about the lessons that we're learning and the things that we face that may be challenging at times, but they actually lead to our expansion? They can be obstacles, but if you have an open mind and a clear intention for transformation, these can lead to wisdom and to absolute new ways of being. So one of the first cards is a mental card. And again, I see this Libra influence in the card. So there is a great deal about balance right now, from our inner selves to our outer selves. This is about mental balance. How do you navigate going into meditation, into reflection, into deep inner states of being where you gain awarenesses from the spiritual realm, and then bring that out to your physical lives, to your mental thought processes, to the way that you work with your mind to create, and to stand in balance between your spiritual and your physical self, and the way that you act, the way that you speak, the way that you claim your dreams. Because this is like a great opportunity to dream big, but then in your conscious mind to truly honor that, to truly honor how you care for your dreams and how you create and not block yourself. So make sure you listen to what you say and how you think as you learn to move forward, to honor your greatest hopes and dreams, to meet your fears, to clean them away, so that you can move forward in balance in the way that you live your lives. That's one of the lessons. And the mind has more negative cards, the mental suit, because that's usually where we get screwed up first. We like to worry. And that card says, don't worry, just, be in balance. All right, the other piece that we really need to work on, and I can see this with the holidays, and traditionally the holidays can be a time of great joy, but they can also be a big stress time. Well, we've had COVID to that this year, and we've had financial stress to that, and a lot of challenges in our earthly world because of the pandemic and many other pieces. So the delight card is up in our lessons and challenges, and it tells me that we need to do our best to move forward in the light, to find delight in our world, to find delight in our hearts and our spirits. How can we show up in gratitude each day and to be the shining light? It's hard. I have to tell you, I've been doing spiritual work consciously for 30 some years, and it's challenging. The energies have been dense, and yet this galactic activation is bringing in great light. There's a shift up vibrationally. And so as you work with your focus, your intention, and all that you do each day, there is a great opportunity to come into greater light and joy. And that would be one of the challenges in navigating these times. If you're not feeling light and delighted, it's time to get a good cleaning, to take a sea salt bath, to go sit upon a tree stump, or to lean up against a tree, or lay on the earth, even though it's wintertime in the northern world. Because if you can get grounded, it'll help you shift your energy to come more into the light. All right, so Aditi, the great ancient goddess, Aditi of the great void, she is of this cosmic womb and potential. She sits in this great higher place of the Akasha. She is the mind substance that is formless. And she represents all potential and possibility. So what she tells me, because she sits in this area of the challenges, is that right now, with all that we have in our earthly worlds, we have found it difficult to dream large, to actually trust and believe that the change is coming. Now, this whole reading and many readings I've been doing is about supporting us in making changes, is about dreaming differently, or creating a new way of being, leaning into this Aquarian energy of these times to be inventive, to be creative, to get outside the box. So she tells me that we really need to lean into that daydreaming, into shamanic journey spaces, into meditation, into creative areas where we imagine differently, to get outside the box, and that it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to do when we have daily challenges, whether it be health issues or financial issues or relationship challenges or just doing life, because life demands a lot of us. So make space and time for a daily meditation or a daily reflection where you wonder what it would be like for certain parts of your life to get better, for you to easily make change. If you can wonder about things in a manner like that, you will start to offset worry, and you will start to move into a vibration that attracts to you what you truly desire if you will focus on your desires, even if you have no mental concept of how you're going to get there. Just do your best to begin dreaming and wondering and about change and wondering about what's it like for your dreams and your heart dreams to come to you with ease. That's the first step in meeting that challenge so that you can truly come to your heart and happiness. All right. So the next 3 cards are about the action you need to take. I've given you action in about every section to reflect these energies of the cards, but this is specific to what we really need to do individually and collectively to make some big changes in our world. So we have the World card, which is pretty cool. It's Mama Gaia. And you'll notice she's got a rainbow snake around her neck, and she's got the world in a pregnant belly, and all this beautiful life around her. She reminds us that we are connected to everything in this world. Many of the shamanic teachings that I'll profess that I find to be true, and I found them to be true from when I began in metaphysical teachings, they're all the same universal teachings, that everything is connected, that everything, you can't do one thing in this universe without the energy affecting another thing. What I do affects you, what you do affects me, even if we don't know each other. There is an energetic exchange at some level. So it's time for us to honor the earth. It's time for us to honor ourselves. It's time for us to see that we have more resources than what we consciously know or act upon most of the time. That you have more support system through this earthly realm and through the spiritual worlds and through all of life that is available. You know, when I look at her, I see a lot of allies. That's the word I would use shamanically. Lots of support. All these animals and these plants and the butterflies, the flowers, every part of this is a symbol of an energy, is a symbol of consciousness, and is a symbol also of something that's offered up to each one of us all the time. That we're in right relationship when we choose to be in self-respect and respect for another. The world truly is ours to experience, to explore, and it has great abundance. So she tells me we need to get back to the earth. We need to get back to practices where we ground ourselves into the earth, where we're grateful for all that is given, where we give clean food and clean water to our bodies, and where we stop doing things that make the world toxic. We become aware of our recycling. It's very simple, and yet there's a lot to do, it seems, at times. But if each one of us does our part on a physical level as well as a spiritual level, we'll realize that we have great abundance and resources constantly there to support our dreams. So take advantage of the way that you see yourself connected, and you will find abundance as you move forward to support every part of your dream life. All right. The other piece that I want to pull with these cards is the community card. So having Mama Gaia and the community card next to each other, this earth card where you see a circle of women gathered, is that it's time for us, even if it's virtual, to gather together in a focus on our dreams, to dream together, to know that we are resourced and there are others like us who are like-minded and like-hearted. And from that place of unity, we support the unity of the greater whole. That small groups of people are exponential, and the larger the group, the more exponential in the way that we can influence and bring harmony. But that circle alone within this symbol is one that is an ancient symbol of unity, both for the self and within the world. So we are being called to gather in higher consciousness. Now, I did a new moon women's wisdom circle last night. I used to do those in person, hadn't done them in a couple of years. And I realized it was time, even if I have to use Zoom right now and can't do it in person, is to begin gathering people very consciously, intentionally, that is supportive to moving through the challenges, that is supportive in cleaning away the difficulties, and that is supportive in dreaming anew to truly feel in a tribe once again, because that's been challenged by our current circumstances more than ever, and to consciously use the tribe to create a greater reality. So I just wrote a book, Artist, Shaman, Healer, Sage. It's going to come out in spring 2021. And I realized that as I wrote this, I needed to get that to as many people as possible and encourage them to create their own circles, to use it as a guidebook, to bring in ceremony and ritual, to bring in community and connectivity, to bring in like-mindedness and empowerment, both for the individual and for the collective. So however you do that, I highly encourage that as part of the dreaming big and moving onto your reality of what you truly desire. The other thing is to be in joy, to be in ecstasy. This is the Ace of Seas. It's about the emotional part of yourself. And it's also an ace. Now, Sage Holloway, who's the author of this deck, she's in spirit world now, but she taught me that the aces were always symbolic of guidance. The angels and all your spiritual helpers are there with you, and this is not a lot of effort. So she tells me that as you desire to move into greater ecstasy emotionally with your life, that now is the time to act on that in all ways that you can imagine, and that you're going to have a lot of help from your spirit helpers, that it's not going to be hard as it has been in the past, that there's a new cycle of coming into our hearts. And that I like to hear. It's time. It truly is. All right. So what's the outcome as we act on these energies and embrace them as best as possible? Well, we're going to come to new beginnings. We've got the Fool card, which is 0 in the deck, and is traditionally the Fool is the one who's this little guy with a knapsack on the top of a hill, and he trips and he falls down the hill, and when he gets up, he's unscathed. This is actually a card of protection and definitely new beginnings. And in our deck, we chose the card, or the goddess, the Shinto goddess Uzume, or Uzumi, who is there to show us this irreverent, joyful nature, who's the sacred clown, who's there saying, it's all okay. Don't be so serious. It's time to come into the light. It's time to bring the light back through our laughter, our humor, and our lightness. And with this sitting in the outcome, it tells us that we're going to feel some relief. We're going to look back on the past years of struggle and divisiveness, and we're going to have a little giggle in our hearts and go, wow, what a trip that was. What an interesting lesson and opportunity for growth that we've just gone through. We're going to have a different perspective, and it is about calling back the light through our humor. Now, next to her is Mother Mary, and she's the sacrifice card. So it tells me in this next cycle that we are coming to a place of making sacred all the things that we've lost, all the things that we think we've lost, and moving back to our sacred hearts, moving back to a place of understanding that life really is so much more than just the physical, that it is a place of moving inward and connected from heaven to earth, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that we have eternal life. I mean, I see her as such a sacred symbol, the mother of Christ, the mother of Jesus. And I know her not only in the way I learned about her in Christianity, but I know her through this greater symbolism of being a priestess in the temples of Isis. that she's this high priestess mother who understood all the esoteric ways. And she helped initiate her son into this higher initiation into a Christ. And with her in the outcome, I feel like she's beckoning us to come into that awareness within ourselves that we have eternal life, that this is not the end game, and that there is greater life and sacredness for us to recognize in our eternal beings here on earth. That it's our time to truly ground that and to know that that period is upon us. And with that, we have the Ace of Manifestation and the outcome. So I'm telling you, these times are protected. We're guided by our angels, and we're bringing some good new energy into the physical. When I said dream big and asked how to get there, this tells me with these cards that we have everything we need to truly bring to earth a greater reality, personally and collectively. So I invite you to join me in dreaming big and shedding the fear, learning to do that step by step, walking together to let go so that we can truly come into the light within our hearts, within our very beings, and to see that within one another, to call it forth in a greater perspective, to let go of cynicism and hurt and blame, that we can come into a time of co-creativity and one of blessings for ourselves, for our neighbors and our families, and for the whole of the world, the whole of humanity. So I hope this inspires you today to really work with these energies of the solar eclipse and the new moon. If you haven't taken time, write down your hopes and dreams. Do some smudging ceremonies to let go of anything that's really bothering you. And then focus on the light. Focus on your desires. Bless them. Bless your neighbors. Bless your enemies. Bless the world in all the ways you can, simply by lighting a candle and acknowledging that there's a greater reality and that you're getting what you need now to move into greater harmony and to move out of fear and to know that you are loved and are filled and protected and guided. So I offer this to you today in nothing but love and respect. My name is Katherine Skaggs. I bless you to have a wonderful day. Aho.